Here in June of 2022, the world is a pretty crazy place. In today's video, I want to dive in and tear apart an article that I saw on the housing market being circulated that frankly completely pissed me off because it spoke strictly to fear. It even had a good nugget in there, but it hit it so far down that it is helping build this national collective groupthink narrative that I think is extremely dangerous. Stick around and I'm going to show you exactly what that article said that I liked, what I did not like, and what we can do to make sure we have a full picture going forward. Welcome back to another video. This one is a little bit different than anything I've done in the past. You all know, if you've been following me for any period of time, how I feel about the housing market, specifically here in Ocean City, and how I feel about how different the national narrative can be versus what's happening here on the ground or in any local market. Because, say it with me, real estate is hyper local. So in today's video, I want to walk through a Fortune article that the headline screamed, "Everybody panic, head for the hills, the world is crumbling." But if you actually managed to read the article, 95% of it fit that big, bold headline that's going to scare the hell out of you. But there's a little nugget in there that honestly puts the entire article to shame because it goes against all of the fear that they're preaching simply by the way that it's written. So I'm going to pull up that article. I'm going to talk you through it right now. All right, so here we have it. This fits with most of what the general media has been pushing over the last month, specifically, maybe even a little bit before that. Everybody is freaking out, thinking that the housing market's going to come crumbling down. And then I see a headline like this: housing market entering the most significant contraction in activity since 2006. Now, all we've been hearing over the past month is that mortgage applications are down, sales are down, all things like that. And they phrase it in a way that really lacks context as to what that even means or why it's happening. So I'm going to go through this in detail with you to explain why I think you should be concerned or shouldn't be concerned. So as they go through this, and I would encourage you to read this, the link is down in the description here in this video if you want to check it out. But basically, they're going through statistically, which I have a great appreciation for, exactly what has changed. Mortgage applications being down, home price growth plummeting. All of that sounds extremely bad. What I come back to every single time is that with national inventory, local inventory, both of them are absolutely still near record lows. They're not as low as they were last year, but you simply can't sell what you don't have. People can't buy what doesn't exist. If inventory is low, mortgage applications are going to stay low. So throughout this article, housing market is at the beginning stages of the most significant contraction activity since 2006, so on and so forth. Big scary graph, mortgage applications index going all the way back to 2005. Look, we're falling off a cliff, so on and so forth. Now, home price growth, again, through the roof. We know this. What they're implying is that what is going to happen here is that we are going to fall off a cliff like we did back in 2007. And if you were to read this, I think you'll agree that that's the narrative and that's the story not only this article is pushing, but that we're being inundated with left and right from every possible source because it hits a point of fear. Anybody who's looking to make a purchase or a sale right now, or anybody who simply owns a house or a property anywhere, wants to not get hurt, right? That if the crash is coming, they want to get out now. If they're looking to buy, well, I don't want to buy at the peak, so I'm going to pump the brakes and I'm going to hold off. But as we talk through inflation, as we see interest rates continuing to rise, all of which are very real problems, you will never hear me say otherwise. The thing that I want to point out to you here is down towards the very, very end of the article. You saw how far down I just scrolled. If we come up a little bit, doesn't foresee home prices falling nationally over the coming year. However, forecasts that the housing correction will likely result in 5 to 10% price reductions in significantly overvalued markets. Boise and Charlotte, nowhere near us. Once again, every market is hyper local. So as you can see down near the bottom of the article, after spending the entire thing pointing out with statistics and data, which again, I have a great appreciation for, versus just blathering a bunch of noise, doesn't really mean anything. They're pointing you in a very specific direction in this article. And again, in the general groupthink that is going on right now as to what is going to happen. Number one, nobody actually has a crystal ball. If they did, they would have taken advantage of every market change in the history of every market. Number two, after pointing through that whole narrative, making it seem like the world is going to come crashing down, they admit, and they say it very plainly, that prices are only going to come down 5 to 10%, maybe, in these overvalued markets. That's not nationally, that's not everywhere, that's not a 50% crash. That does not give you what that graph that I pointed out with the huge reduction in prices shows you. So it's very complicated to get to the bottom of all of what is actually happening through all of this, frankly, bullshit that people continue to put out there that is meant to scare you into submission, out of making a decision. I'm not a conspiracy theorist. I don't know what the real intentions are. I'm never going to go down that rabbit hole, but I can tell you this. Real estate historically has always been a very safe and strong place to keep your money. It's a great investment. It's a great way to keep a roof over your head if you're looking for a primary home. And if you are concerned about what's coming up, let's have a conversation, because I promise you, if you continue to just read headlines and take in what is coming in from all external sources that tend to ignore or hide the actual context and the things that may fly in the face of how they're getting your attention to begin with, because again, fear sells and sex sells. One of those two things doesn't really apply to real estate. The other one is very, very easy to push those hot buttons for everybody. So let's have a conversation. Again, I'm happy to be a sounding board for you, happy to give you the exact perspective of what's happening here on the ground in terms of not only the data, but if there are good deals, there are always values to be had in good markets and bad. So don't back off simply because of what you're seeing from external sources. If you're going to read and listen to these and watch news programs, please, please, please keep on a clear lens as to what they're actually saying, what the message really means, because it's very, very easy to get sidetracked and distracted by the fear that they're pushing. So hopefully you found this useful and helpful. Happy to do more of these. If you would like, just let me know down in the comments if you enjoyed this. If you have any questions, you know how to find me. I appreciate you, as always, spending time with me here today, and I will see you on the next video.